Chapter 46. An air of apprehension lay across the camp in the meadow. Chief Thief was dead, pierced by an immense arrow, and dressed in Clooney's best battle armor. He lay amid the wreckage of the leader's tent. No one of the horde dared go near the gruesome scene lest they be found in a position of blame upon Clooney's return. Constance peered agitatedly over the parapet. Something was not quite right. She felt it in her nostrils. The badger's worst suspicions were confirmed by the sight of Clooney crossing the road and heading back to the meadow. Constance watched him leap across the ditch. There could be no doubt about it. The rat was definitely Clooney's scourge. She had killed the wrong rat. Clooney had left his picked band back in the woodland. They knew what they had to do. It would take a bit of time, but it was a sound, workable plan. Striding swiftly over to the meadow, some 6/10 sense told Clooney that all was not right. His one eye scoured the area. There was his horde gathered together on the far end. But what had happened to his tent? Clooney had vaguely discerned a huddled figure tangled in the wreckage. Speculation was useless. He speeded up his pace. Fangburn met him halfway. Clooney held up a claw, silencing him. He would get to the bottom of things without shuddering excuses. He kicked the tent full to size, revealing Chief Thief's stricken face. A great arrow shaft protruding from the ruined armor, his war gear. Clooney glanced backwards and forwards from the Abbey to the body. He took a quick rate at all had happened. The big badger was peering over the wall. It was her doing. Clooney's brain raced ahead. On the far edge of the meadow, the horde was looking decisively uneasy. A mistake had been made. The arrow had been meant for him. The warlord's fertile mind suddenly came up with an idea of how to turn the situation to his own advantage. Fangburn, to say the least, surprised. Clooney clapped him heartily on the back and led him across to where the rest of the horde waited apprehensively. Clooney laughed aloud and put them at ease. He winked his eye roguishly. "Well, I see my little scheme worked out just fine. We got the dirty traitor, didn't we?" Fangburn mewed, mate. Fangburn was completely baffled. He knew better than to disagree. "What, oh, of course, Chief." Clooney nodded over to where the body lay. "Do you see that? Well, it'll be a warning to all of you. Ha! I knew what was going on with Chief Thief. Didn't anyone see him at the battering ram last night, acting all high and mighty?" There was a general murmur of agreement. Most of the rats had been pressed into volunteering as ram carriers by the ambitious Chief Thief. "Aye, we saw him, Chief, chucking his weight about, shouting orders. He kept me on the ram for 2 hours. Yes, you could have thought he was the commander of the horde." "Exactly," Clooney shouted. I had my eye on Chief Thief for quite a while. He was doing a fair piece of ordering about without my permission. Why, I bet he ordered some of you lads around while I was gone." "He started shoving me about, Chief," volunteered Darkclaw indignantly. "It was, do this, fetch that, jump to it. I'm using the Chief's tent. I think Chief Thief was getting too big for his boots, Chief." Clooney threw a Darkclaw around the speaker's shoulder. "Thank you, Darkclaw. You're an intelligent captain. You see as well as I did. Chief Thief was planning to take control of my trusted horde. Why else would he start using my tent and dressing in my battle armor?" The soldiers nodded sagely at one another. Clooney was right. There was no fondness in the ranks for the dead, power-hungry bully. Clooney continued, "You see, I knew the badger and her friend were planning to kill me, so I thought I'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Fool them and save myself the trouble of having to execute Chief Thief. In fact, I let the Redwall crowd do the dirty work for me. I didn't want any of my loyal soldiers put to any trouble. I gave the traitor enough rope and let our enemy hang him." Clooney slapped his thigh and burst out laughing. The horde joined them, falling with merriment at their chief's black joke. What a cunning idea. There was no doubt about it. The scourge didn't miss a single trick. Clooney waved cheerfully to the distant figure of Constance on the wall. "My thanks to you, Badger," he shouted. "You did a fine job." Constance did not hear a thing from the distance of the ramparts, which was just as well in the circumstances. Clooney was almost joyful as he turned back to the horde. "Well, my good warriors, has anything else happened while I was gone?" Kilkenny performed one of her most elaborate salutes. "The tunnel is going very well, Your Honor." "Good, good," said Clooney. "Anything else to report?" Mainspur and Scumnose piped up jointly. "We were out searching for dock leaves, Chief. We came across the field over there." Clooney halted them. He nodded to Scumnose. "You tell me." Well, we was rooting around by some hedges, Chief, and we found a whole tribe of dormice fast asleep. So we pounced on them and tied them up in a bunch. Nice big fat ones they are, Chief. Clooney interrupted. Dormice, eh? You haven't killed them yet, I hope. Scumnose shook his head vigorously. Oh no, Chief. We've been keeping them nice and fresh in the ditch there. Do you want to see them? I think there's about 20, all told. Good, you did well. I want them to keep alive, muttered Clooney, as he walked across the ditch and peered down at the captives. The dormice were huddled miserably together, as they next looped cruelly together on a rope. They whimpered fearfully as the sinister sight of Clooney's skirts. Which one of you is the leader? He snarled. A bed-ragged, youngish mouse held up a timid paw. I am, sir. My name is Plumpin. Please let us go free. We have done no harm to any living creature. Violence is against our nature. Silence, Clooney snapped, or I'll teach you what violence means. An anguished moan arose from the dormice lying in the ditch. Clooney cracked his tail. Cut out that cringing, he said contemptuously. You are my creatures, to do with what I like. Oh, don't worry. I won't let them kill you yet. I've got other and more useful things in mind. You, Plumpin, or whatever your name is. Tell your tribe that they won't be harmed as long as you do as what I say. For the present, you are to stay down there under guard. Scumnose, Mangefur? Yes, Chief. You two are responsible for these prisoners, said Clooney. See there no creatures goes near them. Stand guard night and day. If just one of these dormice is missing, you'll both end up roasting on the spit. Is that clear? After Chief Thief's carcass had been disposed of, Clooney sat beneath an awning that had been improvised from the damaged tent. He watched the armorer diligently repairing his prized war gear and fumed inwardly. His equipment had been battered, and he had lost a valuable captain. The Redwall contingent had stolen a march upon him, and battered ram had failed miserably. Once again, the thinking was left to him. The horde was more concerned with licking wounds and feeding their stomachs. Strategy was not their responsibility. However, on reflection, the balance was beginning to swing in his favor again. Now he had 3 possible keys to the Abbey. One was the tunnel, the rats, the moss-flower wood were attending to his second scheme, and the third, Clooney glanced over to the ditch. The capture of the dormice would prove an even more devious adventure to the conquest of Redwall, providing he played his cards right. Early evening saw the attack upon Abbey get underway once again. Jess Squirrel and Ambrose Spike had joined the ranks of archers. They popped up and down, selecting random targets. I don't like it, Jess remarked. Ambrose grunted as he released a feathered shaft at the ditch. Don't like what, Jess? The squirrel put aside her bow and sat down under the cover of the parapet. They seem to have slackened off somehow, and we haven't seen much of Clooney lately. I don't like the horde to behave in this way. Personally, I think there is something afoot that we don't know about. Winifred the otter, standing nearby, she slung a stone hard, nodding in satisfaction as a resultant scream and joined the 2 friends. Aye, I'm inclined to agree with you, Jess. The Scourge was probably figuring out some new move. This attack may only be a cover. By the way, is there any word from Formal and his crew? Oh, they've still got their ears to the ground, Ambrose said gruffly. Formal said they've heard the odd echo. Nothing definitely low. Southwest corner is what he thinks they might surface eventually. Yes, I've heard that too, Jess agreed. We'll have to arrange a warm reception for those filthy vermin when they show up. What baffles me, Winifred mused, is where the young Matthias has got to. It's not like him to miss a chance of a battle. Abbot Mortimer was on his rounds with food. He had been eavesdropping on the conversation and could not help commenting. Do you know, I was just thinking about the same thing myself, but we must give Matthias the benefit of the doubt and trust in his judgment. I have a feeling that he could be the salvation of us all. One thing you may rest assured of, whatever the young mouse is, he'll be concerned with the survival of Redwall in one way or another, I'm sure. Aye, well, Jess sighed, as she picked up her bow and notched an arrow. We'd better make sure he has a home to come to. Oh, with the war, friends. On with the war, friends. The squirrel drew the bow full stretch and stood up. She paused a moment, peering along the U-shaft, then released it, the string with a vibrant swing. Below on the edge of the meadow, a creature fell transfixed. One stoat less to carry out Clooney's commands.